All right, guys, we are going to be, there we go. Let's see, where's our camera? We're going to be counting almost all of our coins today. We're going to be counting pennies, nickels, and dimes, which are the three easiest ones to skip count, and then eventually we'll add those quarters in. But right now we're going to keep it simple. So you guys know the drill. We're going to use our 120s chart. Move myself over. Oh, I can move myself up here. The world's amazing. Anyways, so let's get to it and let's start counting. So again, we are going to be using the greatest value first. So we know that the dime's going to be the greatest because it's 10 cents. And then we're going to count fives and then we're going to count ones. So it's a little bit more tricky this time, but we've got it. We're just going to skip through all this. All right, so here's our first set. So what's nice is that they've already sorted the coins for us. Now, especially when we're doing more coins besides just one or two kinds, it's important that you sort them by the type of coin because it makes it much, much easier to count. So here they've already sorted all of the dimes together, the nickels together, and the pennies together. And that's going to be really, really helpful because if they're not sorted, you might miss one or miscount one or double count one. So it's really helpful that we sort it first. Okay, so starting with the dime. So we're going to place our three dimes on the 120 chart. So there goes 1, 2, and 3. So far we have 30 cents. Now that we place all the dimes, we're going to do the next coin with the greatest value, which would be the nickel, which is 5. So we'll count 5 squares and place the nickel. So now we're up to 35 cents. Now we're going to do the remaining coins, which are the pennies, and we're going to count these by one. So these are the easy ones. So we have 3 pennies, so we're going to add a penny is worth 1 cent each, so we'll count on after that nickel, and we'll add those 3 pennies. So 1, 2, and 3, and we landed on 38, which means all of these coins together give us 38 cents. So the reason that, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but just to bring it on home, it's really important that we start counting with our biggest coins first, and then the next biggest, and then the smallest, because it's a lot easier to count from bigger to smaller. The way that they add up together is a lot neater and nicer and easier to count. It's easier to go 10, 20, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38 than it is to go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 10 is 18. It's not as even, it's a little trickier. So this, and you can still do it, but this is just an easier way for us to do it, okay? So now let's do this set of coins. Now, these are a little bit mixed up, so hopefully, all right, perfect. I was like, hopefully we can sort these before we count them. So here we're gonna sort them. So we put all of the dimes together. So we have 4 dimes. Now we're gonna put the nickels together. We have 2. And now we're going to put our pennies together and we have 4. This is so much easier to count this way, y'all, because you can see, you know exactly what you're counting. You're not trying to guess. So here we go. Starting with our dimes, because they're our greatest value, we have 4. So we're going to put our 4 dimes on here. So right now we have 40 cents. Now we're going to do our nickels. So we have 2 nickels, so they're each worth 5. So we have our 40 cents. Count 5 squares. Here's our first nickel. Count 5 more squares. There's our second nickel. So far we're up to 50 cents. But we still have those 4 pennies. So we'll count on from 50. So 51, 52, 53, and 54. Now, let me count this whole thing so you can see how I got to these numbers, okay? Starting with 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. And man, I know that is tricky, y'all. Don't worry, I promise it gets so much easier just the more you practice it, right? Just have a bunch of coins out and start slow. Just start practicing nickels and pennies or dimes and pennies. Just keep it simple. But it does get easier the more you practice, and keep practicing those skip counting songs. That'll be really helpful too. All right, so the total of this set is 54